I want to start my confession with the phrase, you can't force love. You can't force someone to love, that's a fact. My parents tried in vain to have a child for 5 years before I was born. Long trips to doctors, examinations, expensive treatments abroad, and all this was to no avail. My mom wanted to get pregnant for a long time, but it did not work. I'll say right away, she and my dad have a big age difference. My dad was 32 at the time of my birth. My mom was 23. She got married at the age of 18. My mom was beating herself up for a long time that such a young woman could not give birth, but everyone supported her. Especially Dad's parents loved her very much and said she was the perfect wife. Eventually, when I was born, everyone seemed happy and the trying stopped. From childhood, I felt coldness from my mother's side. She never said a kind word, did everything on automatic, and never took any interest in me other than trivial things like what my grades were in school, whether I cleaned up, washed the dishes, and made the bed. I was never a rebellious child. On the contrary, I always studied perfectly, ispavedi.com in everything helped around the house, and faithfully went to all the circles in which my parents enrolled me. Despite this, I always felt this detachment and alienation, as if I was a stranger. I was never trusted. All my words had to be confirmed, although I never lied. I was very rarely scolded, but her cold stare and playing silence for weeks was the worst punishment. It is very hard for a young child to understand why you don't deserve the love of at least your own mother, and whether every love must be earned by good behavior, good grades, but it is still not enough. I had a lot of rules. I followed them all, afraid to upset her. I thought it was like that for everyone, but soon I realized what real love was. When I was 11 years old, my mom was pregnant. Her happiness was unbounded. She instantly started reading a lot of children's literature, took my room, and turned it into a nursery. All day long she went out to buy baby clothes, a crib, stroller, and toys. A few months later mine was piled with clothes and diapers, so ispavedi.com, as it was considered already the territory of the future baby. I, of course, was very happy for my mom and wanted her to be happy. I thought with the birth of a brother or sister we would be loved equally, but I was very wrong. Immediately after the news of the pregnancy, all the chores around the house, including cooking and laundry, fell on me, but I didn't complain and continued to do everything and excel in my studies. After my brother was born, I had to sit with him right after school, play with him, feed him, get up to him at night, and change his diapers. For every smallest misstep, my mom did not talk to me and scolded me, deprived me of TV and sweets for a month. I stopped going out with my friends and could barely manage my studies because of the huge amount of household chores. I still did everything around the house and was expected to get excellent grades. My mom loved my brother very much and I could feel it. She always talked to him very gently, never scolded or punished him, and fulfilled his every whim. As I grew up, I felt this injustice more and more. I was treated like an ispavedi.com servant, always punished and never said that they loved me. Dad, although he worked a lot, but coming home, as if he felt guilty, never crossed my mother in upbringing, even if she was blatantly wrong. When I was 18 years old, I wanted to go to study abroad, but my parents forbade. They said that there is a little brother, and it is necessary to help in his upbringing. Until he does not finish school, I cannot even dream of moving away from them. But I refused because I had already sacrificed my entire teenage life for my brother. I'd always been shunned, and even now they didn't really care about my education. I was supposed to go to university here and stay there, but I refused. Then my mom started yelling that she had devoted her whole life to someone else's child, and I was so ungrateful. I went into a stupor, and she explained that I was born to my father's mistress, a young 18-year-old girl who had given birth to me and abandoned me to Dad's family to raise. My father lowered his eyes to the floor. He left for another ispavedi.com room, and I was left alone. The puzzles fell into place. Gradually, I began to understand why my mother so cherished my brother. He was her only son, and I was used all my life as a housekeeper and babysitter. Of course, I'm grateful to my parents, especially my mom, for raising a daughter from a mistress, but I still don't understand why take and then hate, bark for every little thing and be so cold. Why try to make me sacrifice my youth for my younger brother? After all, I didn't give birth to him. There's a universal resentment growing inside me towards my mother, and I don't know what I should do. Do I really have to stay for the sake of my brother and live at least 10 more years with my parents as a servant? If I go away to study, then any connection will be cut off. Mom and Dad will not communicate with me. Thank you for your advice.